everybody, Chris from Baby Lock here, and I am super excited today to show you one of our newest accessories to our Baby Lock Serger line. This is what we call the overlock table, and I have to tell you, this was a huge game changer for me as a sewist, spending time on my serger, which is something I love to do. So really, what is this? Well, it is the combination of this cutting blade table, you can see the cutting blade table portion here, and our flat sewing table that we typically use on that chain and cover stitch side, right? They're combined together to form this hybrid table, what we call the overlock table. So let's see how we attach this table. The first thing I'm going to do is open my doors, and on the cutting blade table, or if you have the sewing table on, you'll notice that you have 3 tabs. You're going to press that center tab that has lines on it, press in, pull towards you, remove your table, and now I'm going to attach that overlock table. Again, you have those tabs that sit right here. Center tab goes in the center position, line everything up, and slide that in. Push it down to make sure it's secured. Then you're going to close that door, close the second door, and now you can immediately see that I have a beautiful flat surface. And for me, when I was sewing, I always struggled with hanging onto my fabric here, but now I can put both hands here. I have the ability to use that upper looper, so again, I'm using those overlock stitches. I still have a position for that cutting blade, so I can still trim my fabric, and you'll notice that we have 2 sets of screw holes. Now this came over from that sewing table. The front set allows me to use things like the single and double fold bias binders, or something like that plain hem or the fabric guide. And when I started out, this is really where I started, was using the fabric guide. And what it did for me was it improved my seam allowances. I didn't have to use those markings here or figure out where on my machine I would place the edge of my fabric. Fabric guide was in place. Once it was aligned, I placed the edge of my fabric there, and I was off and running, and I have to tell you, my seams were accurate from the beginning to the end. Then you have a second set of those screw holes, and where those come in is with what we call our knit woven binders, which were binders that came over from our cover stitch only machines. So you can already see, wow, this really is something. It really is going to be that game changer for me, because now I can not only use these attachments if I have a cover stitch machine with that chain and cover, but I can use them with overlock. So you have just expanded your creative possibilities on your machine. And the great thing about this is, on the overlock side, it is a what I would call very unique look, and that for me was a plus. As a sewist, I always want to be different from what you see in the mass markets. I want my stuff to look unique. I want it to be creative. I want it to be that wow factor. And you now have the ability to have that wow factor on your machine. So, other thing that was really exciting is you can still use all those great decorative threads, but because you're doing an overlock, you have more opportunity to see those wonderful decorative threads and see that wonderful decorative edge finish. And just like you have with overlock and that chain and cover, your fabric choices or fabric options are still that expanded list or whatever you can use. But again, you're using attachments, so some attachments will lend themselves better to other fabrics than others. So those are things that you're going to have to consider. If you choose, you can remove the overlock table by simply opening the 2 doors, placing your finger on that tab, pulling out. But I have to tell you, mine now lives on my machine. I've become very used to having both hands, especially that right hand controlling that fabric for me. You are going to love using the single fold bias binders or the double fold bias binders, the plain hemmer, the single fold downturn feller, and other attachments on this machine. So please make sure to visit your local Baby Lock retailer to take a look at this wonderful new accessory. Bye, have fun.